Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore. There's no Johnny Depp trial today, so I get to recap a story that a lot of you were following on this channel. I've seen it all over the web. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith are getting a divorce, and some are saying could be the messiest divorce in Hollywood ever. Well, I got the expert divorce lawyer in Hollywood, to the stars and so many, Christopher Melcher. Thank you for being here, sir.
Well, thanks, Andy. I mean, yeah, I've been following the rumors, I would say, about this story too. So,
I'm sure you're like a vulture on the side. Like, I gotta call me.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that. I mean, but for me personally, I hate divorce. I really wish that I would be out of a job. I don't like to see people suffer. I don't like to see them break up. I believe marriage is for life. So I think. I'm hoping, honestly, that these couple can somehow work out their problems.
Well, let's be clear. To fact check this, there's no proof this is real. I've seen this major outlets are starting to pick this up. And yes, it stems from a source, an unnamed source that says, a close source told Heat Magazine UK there have been problems for years, that we know, but they're barely speaking right now. Can't confirm that, but that's the rumor. I wouldn't be surprised. The source continued, if the divorce was on the table, it would get messy quickly. If they were to split, Will has a fortune of $350 million that Jada would be entitled to under California law. It could be one of the ugliest divorces in showbiz history and drag on longer than Angelina and Brad Pitt's did. Now, that's why I really want to talk about this, because I want to obviously bring you guys other stories too. But with Christopher here, he's an expert. And Christopher, they bring up another case that actually I think is worth. Angelina is still going on. You were saying this earlier. 2016 is when this started, and now what is it? 6 years later, she's now getting the FBI involved in a new portion of this divorce that never ends. I guess the first question, is this the worst one as of the past decade or so? Is Brad Pitt and Angela the ugliest Hollywood divorce we've seen?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's unusual to see two A-list celebs going through a divorce. We had Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, and I was involved in that case, but that resolved very, very quickly. Kim and Kanye still going on. This one is really remarkable in that it's 6 years, and they've resolved most of the financial issues. We still have the Miraval, the estate and winery in France that's, going through active litigation, but it's mostly been about the kids. And it's 6 years ago, this incident happened on a plane. There's a dispute about what happened, and Angelina just really won't let it go. And even if everything happened on the plane as she claims, it makes no sense to me why she would still be fighting about it now, because she has not claimed that anything has happened since then.
Right.
And Brad has gone with the program. He's gone to whatever counseling, he has supervised visitation, and he's just saying, hey, treat me as an equal dad. And if Angelina had something else to report, she would have publicized it because she's gone out with other stuff. So to me, it's like, hey, you got to move on. You got to let it go. Their oldest child's already termed out. He's already over 18. And we're probably going to see one or two other kids go term out. And so this has to be something other than fighting over the best interest of the kids. This is a really toxic personal dispute.
I was just going to go there because, again, I think it's connected, and I'm glad we get to compare it to Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. Look, from my experience of friends who I've known, especially California divorces, you don't get this bitter unless there's some sort of infidelity or something else that happened that really scorned the partner. Is from my experience. You obviously not speaking out of your own cases, but is that usually part of the case? If there is infidelity or some sort of betrayal, the divorce is that much uglier usually, correct?
Oh, it is very, very difficult because there's already a loss of respect and communication in any breakup. But then when you have infidelity, there's a loss of trust. And so that makes it very difficult to make a deal when you don't have trust, communication, respect. And that's, as a lawyer, I try and restore enough of those things to make a deal. But here I think that there's something much more greater going on.
Even than that, you're saying?
It has got to be a psychological level problem. Not that I'm trying to diagnose people, but I'm just saying is that most people will put aside their personal differences for the benefit of their kids. There's no way that any dispute that they have over 10 or 20% of custody time that they're fighting over could be worth the damage that's certainly happening to their kids by having that fight. So,
Right, and having these
I can
headlines
make
out in the world, because the kids are getting older now, they're going to start seeing that mom's still fighting dad, and that's intense for kids.
It's absolutely damaging for any child to have their parents fighting, but then when it's public, it's that much more humiliating. But a lot of people make the case against Angelina, and I certainly don't understand her conduct. But I can also make the case against Brad, even though I think he's handled himself really well. But at some point, why does he fight over this? Is he fighting over, hey, I want 50%? And so who's really taking care of these kids? We have two hardworking parents that they're traveling a lot. I'm just worried that this is a fight over my nanny versus your nanny. And how can that fight be worth it to put the kids through a public battle? So I really fault both of them.
Now, again, back to the title of the video, which is now we don't know if they're happening, but if they were to divorce, given what we know about this couple, do you think this could get as ugly? And to give a quick recap, they've been very open and honest about how their relationship is open, how they've had extramarital affairs. Jada was out there with Augustina saying, that came out and bit her in the butt a little bit of the entanglement, as she talked about. But there's a lot of clips and things that have come out after this slap that have really just made us not like Jada. I don't want to replay them all. You can go watch the playlist, guys. But the one in particular, when she's filming him without his permission, and he's all like, this is my bread. Why are you? Social media is my bread and butter. Get this out of my face. I'm not going to do this right now. And she just keeps hammering a lot of connections. People calling Jada like Amber. I don't even want to go there necessarily, but there's clearly some drama here, Christopher, between these two, as we've learned. And they've also been very vocal of they never want to. Jada said she never wanted to marry Will. Makes fun of their horrible wedding, etc. But then they've also talked about how they're never going to divorce. They've said, look, this divorce can't be an option. With Jada, I stood up in front of God and said, till death do us part. So there are two possible outcomes. One, we are going to be together till death, or two, I am dead. Jada said the same thing. I told Will from the gate, I said, let me tell you something. If we marry me, know this, we're going to be together. We're going to be under the same roof. For me personally, I knew that there was no reason that he and I would ever divorce. So, look, the truth is Will Smith has been divorced already once. So does all this worry you? What is your, knowing what we've seen here about the back and forth and the drama between Will and Jada, what would your prediction be if this source is in fact true? Could this be an ugly divorce?
Well, sure. I mean, all divorces are ugly. And, here they have been married since 1997. So they've gone through a lot, especially through the open relationship or whatever you want to call it, that they're with other partners and is very open and he got to be humiliating, but they got past that. So they've been married for a long time. That's a good sign for them. But their kids are getting older, and sometimes people stick with their marriage just because of the kids. And when they get older, there's not a lot sticking that marriage together. So I think that they are at risk in that regard. Certainly what's happening now has been, a lot of pressure on both of them. And it's hard for a celebrity because, look, every marriage has got problems and most of it is very private, for us. But for them, for high profile people, all those problems become public and then it becomes very difficult to move beyond. So I could see where I'm sure they're going through a lot. Will Smith, it's upsetting to see how he acted recently, but in the past, I think he's been a good guy. Mm-hmm. And so my guess is that he would try and avoid the conflict. He would try and settle it quickly. He would, not want any more damage to his reputation because he just couldn't survive it. And my sense is he would want to resolve this informally. Jada, I don't know, that she might fight and make it very difficult. They certainly have a lot of assets. I don't know if they have a prenup. But it would definitely be an expensive and very highly publicized divorce.
Yeah, because the kids are now adults, that makes it a little bit easier, right? But she still get alimony in California, right? It's like forever alimony, right?
Yeah, I mean it's for if you're married more than 10 years, it could be indefinite. So it could be until the death or remarriage of her. And he's making a lot of money, and I'm sure she makes good dough too. But there's going to be some support exposure, but there's also a lot of assets, And again, I don't know if they got a prenup, but even if they do, they've been married so long, they got a lot of have stuff commingled. So they would be better off trying to work it out just to avoid a very, very nasty fight. But, you know, there is so much intensity around what is going on recently that I got to think that the marriage is under tremendous pressure.
Yeah, and so update also, the red table talk is back, and thank God they didn't just come back with Will and Jada on the table. I think that would have been one of the worst PR moves. It just would have looked so selfish and crazy. We got to hear from Chris Rock when he's ready, and then I feel like they can speak personally. But they did come back with season whatever this is, and they started with a disclaimer. Considering all that has happened in the last few weeks, the Smith family has been focusing on deep healing. Some of the discoveries around our healing will be shared at the table when the time calls. So they're clearly like, we'll do it. We're gonna do it. But until then, the table will continue offering itself to powerful, inspiring, and healing testimonies like that of our incredibly impressive first guest. Thanks for joining us, Jada. And then they had Janelle Monáe join them on a pre-taped episode they did before the Oscars. So, I mean, this show's a very popular show with Facebook. There's sponsors. I'm sure they needed to keep this train moving regardless. But yeah, it's clear. The fact that they didn't jump on it, I think, is a sign that there's something up. They're realizing they got to be careful here from a PR perspective. I mean, you have to deal with that, and divorces you do with these celebrities, it is a little bit of a PR battle too, right? What would your advice be for them if they are contemplating this? What's your pitch to them if they're like, we want to do this clean? What would you say?
Well, you got to let time. You know, time heals wounds, and big things become small things over time. And you know, we've seen through the cycle. We know that the attention span is not that long, and it seems like a long time ago. But this whole slap thing, this was trending. This was bigger than Ukraine, unfortunately, which is ridiculous, honestly. That something like this, even though it was bad, could be more important than a war. But it was so hot of a story. But now it's really Johnny Depp right now. And I'm glad about that because he's clearing his name. But, look, a couple weeks make all the difference. So what we usually see in these type of cases, if they're amicable, if they're smart enough not to damage their brand, is they work behind the scenes. And this could be going on for 6 months, a year. Look at Bill Gates' divorce, Bezos' divorce. All these things were handled and signed, sealed, and delivered before we even heard about them. So they would take 6 months, a year to go through valuations, disclosure, division of things, writing up the deal. They got it all done and ready to go. And then they issue the press release. We're conscious uncoupling crap, moving forward as friends, different chapter in our lives, all that stuff. And then it's this, Friday afternoon, press release, done. And so that's the way it should happen. Some people don't do that. Look at Amber Heard, waits till Johnny goes to Europe and then files this restraining order on false evidence. But my sense is that these two folks are smart enough not to do that. And maybe they're going to use, or Jada would use the whole slapping incident to try and promote her show, which is unfortunate. But I can't imagine that they want to have the divorce out there. That is just completely toxic nuclear waste that nobody wants to touch.
Yeah, some of you probably are going to say Jada might want to touch it. So what do you guys think? Do you believe this is realistic? Do you think there is trouble there that they could end this? Or do you think this couple, the fact that they're out with other partners and living it up under the roof, that they are unstoppable and they're a business marriage is really what I think some of these in Hollywood are, right? We are a brand, we are a business, we are coming together no matter what. Go screw who you want to screw, but at the end of the day, we stay here together just because monetarily it's easier that way. What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know down below. Christopher, always a pleasure getting your insight. If you want to reach out to him, you can find him on Twitter, or you can look him up on YouTube at Christopher Melcher. Google him, Christopher Melcher on YouTube, or CA_divorce. Always a pleasure having you, sir. And yeah, maybe we'll see him in Vegas, guys. That'd be fun. We'll be in Vegas next week. Lots coming here on the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe and stay tuned for more Johnny Depp coverage, Will Smith coverage, and so much more here on Popcorn Planet.